It's December the 8th, 2024, and we now have the brackets, the layout for the first ever 12-team college football playoff championship for this year, crowning a champion on the 20th of January in 2025. So the season is now officially over, but because of money and technology and way we do things, we now have a chance to have a 12-team playoff, a bigger playoff for more games, more football, always fun for us to see. Yeah, more money. And this is how it all plays out. Starting off with the actual layout and seeds of the bracket. This is the bracket as produced by ESPN, which all the pretty colors and all the teams there, and how it works out. So we have 12 teams and have even playoffs. The first top 4 teams get a bye. We'll get to that in a moment. But this is the first time we have a chance to see the non-arbitrary picking of random people as they've done for, hundreds of years, maybe not quite hundreds of years. And the last couple of years where they've had the playoff championships where the top 4 teams made it in there. And it was always sort of weird how Alabama and Georgia was always a top 1 and 2 team when they always played against each other in a championship or got close or some weird thing like that. It was just a phenomenon that's weird. Works in my favor as an Alabama fan, but not to anybody else's favor. Alabama knows he doesn't have a logo here. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's tell you how the whole thing works out, the whole shebang for this first attempt at the college football playoffs with 12 teams to make it a real playoff system. Now, the first batch deals with home games for the teams that aren't the top rated in the conference. It's the top rated conference champions get a bye in the field, so they don't play till the second round. First round are all home games hosted by the top rated, top seeded teams. So they play at home. One more game in your home field if you like that. Then the bowl season begins, and the first 4 bowls, Fiesta, Sugar, Rose, and Peach. Fiesta playing on the 31st of December and Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl on the 1st, the whole New Year's window, is going to be a great shot to watch great games expected on that New Year's Eve corridor. But the first batch of bowl games go to them. Now, what that does for your other bowl games, for your favorite team that may be bowl eligible here in Arkansas, Arkansas is bowl eligible, so they get to go to a bowl this year, but doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things since they're not in the playoffs. It means extra money for the teams. Yes, it means a little chance to go travel and do some fun stuff. Yes. But at this point in time, if you're not playing for a playoff game, you're not really playing for much at all. We will see how this thing actually boils down in a few years when this becomes more set in stone and when it actually makes sense. Going 18 teams, that's never going to happen because that's just weird logistics craziness. But 12 teams seems like a good fit. It gives 4 teams a bye to go forward. Now, the big daddies of them all, the Orange and the Cotton Bowl, will be essentially the semifinals, January the 9th and the 10th, and then the championship game played on the 20th, giving them 2 weeks to prepare in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. A lot of love for Atlanta playing in these playoffs. Now, let's talk about the teams as they are. As we said, the top 4 teams get a bye. Those 4 teams happen to be Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, and Arizona State. Arizona State got the win in their conference championship a few days ago, so they get that spot. Boise State is also in for doing what they could, and they essentially will talk more about teams that did not get their teams that are notable. Georgia won their conference championship to get them the big shot in the bye. They were basically in it based on rankings anyway, but that meant bad news for other teams in the SEC. And Oregon, basically heads and shoulders above the rest out there in the West Coast, got that win, and they are your top teams. Those 4 teams don't play in the first week. Teams that play in the first week include the Texas Longhorns, who almost had a shot to winning their actual first conference championship in the SEC, but they could not quite get it done against Georgia with another overtime battle, having that again. They take on number 11 Clemson. They get the home field advantage. Also, the number 6, Penn State, gets home field over SMU, who snuck in on the last minute. We'll get to them in a minute again. Also, Notre Dame at 7 over Indiana, hosting Indiana, I guess, at number 10. And the number 8, Ohio State Buckeyes, the Ohio State, is going to host Tennessee. And Tennessee basically did what they could to just kind of be in range all season, made their way into the playoff at the 9th seed there. The quarterfinals will play Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, as you said, and it will make the matchups of the winners of those games facing off on these prospective winners going down for the people who got the bye week. So these people have to play themselves in, and then the bye week teams will get a chance to play in those bowls. The winners of those bowls go to the semifinals and the championship on the 20th. Now, here's what's notable in games for teams who won't be playing anymore. or not playing anymore in anything that matters. They have bowl games, have things to play for. Army-Navy has a big Army-Navy game. But for right now, these are three notable teams that piqued my attention. Number one was Colorado, which had an awesome season, but Coach Prime was basically told, 2-3 weeks ago, because of a tie in the system where he was playing, he was not going to be eligible to play in this playoffs. He was not going to make it in the rankings. This was not going to happen. He would be bumped down based off of tiers. And it was what it was. So Colorado, in the second year of Coach Prime time, will not get a chance to show off their skills in the national championship. Maybe next year when they figure this thing out. Also not playing, even though they actually won their conference, is Army. As I said, Army has something big to play for in the Army-Navy game, although they probably will beat them this year pretty badly. And they had some big play for to win their championship the first time they've done that in years. They haven't been this good in a long time, but they don't get a chance to play for a national championship, which would be awesome. Now, Army as a team and Navy and all the basic service academies actually do a great job in creating good football players. Roger Staubach, a notable Army or Navy, I'm totally butchering that, I'm sorry. Robert Staubach, a notable academy grad who went to play good football, things like that. But they're not going to make it in the season. Now, the big thing, it's not an injustice. It's pretty much what should be deserved. But as an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, a man from Alabama, Alabama is on the odd side out. They got bumped out by SMU of all teams because they weren't good enough. 3-loss team, something that doesn't happen very often in Alabama. And this year and this team and this playoff system is essentially all Nick Saban had to do to essentially validate his actual retirement last year. He was saying the players weren't responding and things were just kind of nuts, so he's going to go hang out with Pat McAfee, who's just as non-responsive as nuts. But still collect a paycheck, talk about everybody, and without any sort of backlash, say what he wants to say about everybody, including his Alabama team. But these are 3 teams that caught my attention and were conversational in my eye that aren't getting a chance to keep playing for a championship. Alabama being the one that hurts the most in the heart because I'm a Bama fan. I also hate them, but I also love them because, I'm a tortured Alabama fan. What is your take on the college football championship? Will this 12-team format actually work and make people happy, or at least satisfy the players and the teams and the schools and the money that needs to be made for all this college stuff? An extra football game, extra week of football is not a bad thing in the ways of money. And it's not a bad thing in a way of getting people to get more attention for the next job that they want to get to in the NFL. But is it too much football for us? Will it kill the bowl series, all the bowls going forward, because they literally don't mean anything at all anymore? Or will it make it a better chance for people and teams and just the fan bases to be more intense about making it into the 12-team playoff? And is 12 teams enough? Of course, college football and money will say no, but is 12 teams enough to make a playoff work out in this cases? Let us know in the comments. Yes, this is not politics. This is not, war. This is not famine. This is still news. It's still very conversational. And as a really super duper sports fan, a guy who actually ran a sports radio station for a while, this is the kind of stuff that geeks me out. And I want to sit there and watch the numbers and watch what's hopefully going to be lots and lots of good football. Some of it won't be. Some of these teams will be exposed very, very, very quickly on the field once they get playing. But hopefully, come 20th of January, we have 2 very good teams deserving of it to go against each other for a very good football game for a championship. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. With 12 teams, even the way they bracketed out there, it's a better chance of seeing teams battle it out and show who's better on that day and who's a better team to advance. We shall see ultimately who the 2025 winner is, who will get the bragging rights. We know it's not Alabama, so they don't have a shot at all. What do you think? Is your team in it? Is your team not out of it? Are you sad, happy, glad, or just don't care for football and want to talk about more Trump stuff? Trust me, we'll do plenty of that going along the way. Let me know in the comments for this video. Let me know in the comments by emailing me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Just let me know what you think, because we'll definitely keep talking about it.